up, guys? Woogie here, workingclassfitness.com. And I want to do a quick video on something that's been really kind of big here lately, been really hotly contested, especially on social media and, Facebook and a lot of those other places. And it's really kind of caused a shitstorm in a lot of different circles, especially within like the powerlifting type community. A few days ago, a guy by the name of Mark T, I can't say his last name, and I don't want to be an asshat and butcher it, so I'll just call him Mark T, on the Juggernaut training site, Chad Wesley Smith's site, posted an article, or he had written and published an article that basically said that he thought speed training for powerlifters, the kind of thing that you see Louis Simmons advocating at Westside Barbell, was basically bullshit. Didn't work, wasn't beneficial to anybody that wasn't a geared powerlifter. And that has since caused a major shitstorm. Tons of people are going nuts. Everyone's writing their own articles. It's geared powerlifting versus non-geared powerlifting, because it's some comments, the whole gist of the whole thing doesn't really matter. And I'll get to why here in just a second, but everyone's throwing kind of their 2 cents into the ring. It's because elements of, should you use speed training because it works for guys that lift in gear, compete in gear, i.e. suit, traps, onesies, the whole 9 yards, all the shit that powerlifters wear. It does work for them, but doesn't work for guys that compete raw, without that stuff. Guys that use drugs versus don't use drugs, and blah 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 blah. What Louis has said and what other guys have said. All these different people have written their own articles, and blah blah blah. It's really caused a lot of just, again, I keep saying it, but it's just a shitstorm. Anyway, my good buddy Andy Hepler, HeplerStrength.com, found an article that another guy had written in response to this whole thing, a guy by the name of Paul Carter, and he sent it to me. Now I don't know Paul. I actually hadn't heard of him, and that's not a knock on him whatsoever. Paul is obviously in the powerlifting community, and I'm just not real active, and I don't really run in those circles. So again, doesn't take anything away from him, when I say I hadn't heard of him, because this article was really, really good. And of course, he's kind of given his 2 cents on the whole situation. But the one part of his article that I really resonated with, and that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about, actually could have been pulled from several conversations that Andy and I have had over past years. And basically, it got around to kind of discussing the idea of what quote unquote works. Because there's this whole idea, and what Mark T's article, the idea that it started was, does speed training work, or does this type of training work, or should raw lifters use this kind of workouts, or should they cycle intensity? And the underlying theme behind the whole damn thing is what works, and really the answer is that a whole lot of damn shit works, The problem that you run into with a lot of these guys is they end up getting ego involved, because they've got their own favorite methods. They've got, either shit that they've designed, or they're, Kool-Aid drinking fanboys of certain lifters or trainers or whatever. And so as a result, it's kind of almost one of those, throw the baby out with the bathwater kind of deals, in that, they're so focused and dedicated on one method or one style or system or whatever, that they're unwilling to listen or to think about anything else, because it doesn't fit their own little, blindered view of what goals should be attained, or what type of training you should be doing, or whatever. Like one of the comments, and I'm just paraphrasing here, so I'm not making these comments myself or whatever, but one of the comments that was made in Mark T's article was that Louis Simmons had supposedly said at one point that that geared lifters are always breaking records, and when they take the gear off, they're always stronger than guys that just train and compete raw. And guys that don't wear gear, their opinion doesn't really matter. And while I've got all the respect in the world for Louis, God, what a dipshit statement to make, And and again, I'm not saying that really as a slight on Louis or his methods or his systems or anything else like that, because God knows he's been really damn successful, and his guys have been really successful, and they've done crazy insane feats, and I don't want to start the whole, how much did gear help argument or topic or whatever, because that's a whole other damn, shitstorm that goes along with it, and that I've got my own opinions on. But, this idea well, somebody else's opinion doesn't really matter because of insert, characteristics or variables here. God, what a narrow-minded way of looking at things. Now, if you just say, hey, my goal or my style of training is to do XYZ, so as a result, we are going to do XYZ, and that's all we're ever going to focus on is XYZ. So anybody else that doesn't deal with XYZ, hey, I don't give a shit because XYZ is all I care about, then that's fine. But if you're kind of and so maybe Louis' comment was taken out of context. I don't know. So whatever. But you see that type of attitude on, not just in the powerlifting circles, but God, you see it everywhere. You see it in powerlifting and just strength training in general, and you see it in conditioning. Guys that are for complexes, but not for intervals, or for interval training, but not for road work, or for road work, but not for complexes, or for one type of strength training, or not for Olympic lifts or whatever. And God, it's just a load of bullshit. Going back to what the little section in Paul's article was saying, you know what, a bunch of shit works. If you're squatting, and I don't have the article obviously in front of me, but the kind of type of points he was making was like, if you're squatting 315 for 2 sets of 5, and now you can squat at 315 for 5 sets of 5, you got stronger. If you were squatting 315 for 5, and now you can squat 335 for 5, you're stronger. If you were squatting 315 for 2, and now you can squat 315 for 5, you're stronger. Whatever it was that did any of these different things, all quote unquote worked. Obviously, because you're able to do more than you were doing before. So, don't get caught up in one system. I mean, that's why if you take a look at, like, let's say, working class fitness killer MMA workouts, there's so many different things that are involved in it. I mean, there's 3 different methods of strength training. There's obviously complexes, but there's 3 different ways of applying the complexes. I talk about how different exercises can be used interchangeably, how there's different methods of doing, specific or direct cardio training. It's because a lot of different things, quote unquote, work. As long as whatever you're doing gets you better tomorrow than where you're at today, and where you're at today is better than where you were at yesterday, it's quote unquote working. Now, that's not to say that some methods or systems or whatever aren't more efficient or can't move you further ahead than others, but if you're progressing forward, it's working. So don't be so fast to just completely negate some idea or system just because, quote unquote, somebody says it doesn't work. Figure out what context they mean, what their ideas are, and go from there. So hopefully that helps, and that'll give you, some ideas on what you should, or how you should not be eliminating different training methods out of your overall repertoire there. That's it for this video. Subscribe to my channel. Like and share this video on Facebook. Tweet it out to all your pals. And don't forget to get on my newsletter list. There'll be a link here in a second. Click on that link, enter in your email address, and I'll hook you up with all the new YouTube videos when they come out. Plenty of tips and advice on how to get bigger and stronger and get into fighting shape, like fighters would be in. And I'll even send you a free sample of working class fitness killer MMA workouts. Good deal? All right. Train hard, rest hard, play hard.